Welcome to the High-Tech Investments News Report for week 35. The news report covers some of the many investments projects High-Tech Investments is currently involved in so you can follow our progress. We hope you will enjoy this news feed and look forward to your comments and remarks.
Hi, Bo here from High-Tech Investment, and welcome back to the channel where it is time again to have a look back to see exactly what has happened with the Forex market, what has happened with our EAs. And as you are tuning in here, I can tell you there's a bit of an apocalypse happening at the moment. Well, it actually also happened last month because the profits has been going down both for the month of July and also for the month of August. So it is drying up. It's a bit of a disaster compared to what we will normally have. Yes, we are not losing any money, but obviously we are here to make a profit, and we're going to show you all of them here today. There's only one EA that seems to be basically cutting it. And if you watch this video all the way to the end, you will definitely also see this. So as we are now entering the month of September, basically we're going to show you the entire month of August. So for all the EAs in here, we are missing about 1 hour. So because from Sunday to Monday, there is one trading hour. So some of the numbers might have changed. We didn't have time to update all of this, but we'll do that definitely on our website. We wanted to make sure you had the latest monthly results on this particular news report. And obviously we have new videos coming out. This is the one. We're going to talk about it a bit later on. We can see a lot of people have actually locked onto this particular one and seems to really like it. So we'll talk a bit more about it a bit later on. But this is also the same EA that seems to be doing quite well for this particular month. And obviously we're also going to have a look at the copy link service for Expert Forex to see if there's any new signals in here. So please stay tuned and let's get into all the profits. So as we start with the Wave Liberator for the month of August here, the top 5 EAs. Well, the first one actually looks okay with the Euro USD coming in at $122 and 12.1%. But then it pretty much slides from there. US Japanese is not too bad, $89, 8.9%. And then the rest very, very quickly drops all the way down to the Great British Pounds CAD. Only $47, 4.7%. And that means for the entire month of August, these portfolio of 5 on a $1,000 account each made $365. And that's 7.3%. That's quite low compared to what we normally see. So you don't see the full picture on the top 5 EAs. So we better go and have a look at the overall portfolio. Again, very, very smooth go. You can see that the curve here actually flattens out a bit. Overall, again, floating profit and loss has gone down for this particular month on all the EAs, including the Wave Liberator, so 12,000. And we can see the balance 167. So that's good profit. Closed profits is 43,000. So nice in plus, and continue to have this floating profit and loss as we have on all the grid trading EAs. Also here, trade wins 68%, history a staggering 741 days to the people saying grid trading doesn't work. Well, here is the proof. Let's go and have a look at the month itself. And again, this is on $10,000 accounts, so the monthly return still calculated around 10%. Don't forget that part. But if we have a look at the individual months, and this goes all the way back to 2023 in August, and that's pretty much also where we started it off with 440, and then we started to add more EAs. And you can see that we are pretty much down to that level, 699, compared to 1,000 the month before. And then you look at it here, it looks like it was 1,500, and even last year also at the same time, 2,500. So it is a huge drop in the profits that we find ourselves with for this particular month. When we go to the RSI Liberator for the month of August, it gets even worse. The US Japanese and the Swiss francs Japanese, those are the top. The US Japanese with $88, 8.8%, and the other one already dropping almost half, $46, 4.6%. And then they are followed closely. But in total, the top 5 here only made $266, or 5.3% for the month. And that is well below where we are normally expected to be and wanted to be. We can see again, the curve looks quite nice. Back here in April, we cashed in extra, so for that particular one, like with the other EAs, but it is flattening out, and at the moment the monthly returns is around 8% on a $1,000 account, and that is obviously slightly below where we want it to be. As we said, it is 8 to 12% we normally aim for. Trades per day for this particular one in here is around 14, and we have a history of 510 days. So plenty of information, but not plenty of profits. The same thing we see here, $690 compared to $938, so it simply has dropped. And obviously we want to be back in the 1,000 or 1,500s at least per month for this particular one. April was obviously special because of the tariffs in here, almost made 3,000. So it is looking good. So for those months, and we want to get back in there again, hopefully for the month of September. Hedged EA for the month of August, also a bit of a disaster here at the moment. Euro Swiss francs actually coming in on top, $62, 6.2%. And then we run all the way down to Great British Pound Swiss francs, $34, 3.4%, which is pretty much nothing for that particular month. And then a total of $237, 4.7%. And that is the best the Hedged EA could actually do for the month of August. When we have a look at it, we can see that back in April, the Hedged EA cashed in quite nicely. But as the price hasn't recovered yet, that means that the profits has flattened out also here. Floating profit or loss is still high with minus 16,000 versus closed profits. And that is thanks to that month in April. Trade wins are still good for the EA, so 70%, so that's not too bad with more than 21,000 pips taken so far. Trades per day is 12 and a history of 224 days, but it doesn't change that also here. The profit is extremely low for the month of August, 410 versus 569, and you can see ever since April here, so things have been going very, very slow. It started off very well in the beginning of 2025, 1800 in February, 1900, and then after April, basically it slumped all the way down. This is definitely one of the ones we want to move over on $1,000 accounts and then start another portfolio to see how well that's actually doing. Now, normally the grid trader and the simple grid trader in here, it's looking good for the Great British Pounds New Zealand, $303 or 30.3%. That is obviously massive, but this particular one, currency pair, also has a bit of a drawdown at the moment. So I believe some of that profit we have in here, we have to give it back. So at the end of the day, if you refer to the equity, we are not going to have so high a percentage. But it is still doing well compared to other ones. Even the Euro New Zealand with $114 or 11.4% is great. And the bottom one of the top 5, Euro CAT with $99 or 9.9%. You cannot be discouraged too much with $730 on a portfolio of 5 or 14.6%. So this is definitely very good, but it will also in here drag the whole thing down a bit, especially because of the Great British Pounds New Zealand that has been cashing in, but it also needs to close. That is the nature of this particular EA in here. So the profit might be a lot lower for the next month. If we have a look at the entire portfolio here, that one has been set up with $1,000 accounts, so you don't have to recalculate anything. Balance started off with 20 accounts of $1,000. So that means that we are up by 6,000. Floating profit or loss is pretty stable around the 3,500 to 4,000. At the moment, 3,600. Total return is calculated to 18.8. Monthly return 7.2. And then we have 29,000 pips with trades per day is around 20 and a history now of 137 days. So it is a very good and strong EA, definitely, that we have learned also to set up. This is the generation 4, and you can see that the profit is actually holding here. But if we have to take into consideration again a few of them, we might end up at the end of it just below the July results. But 1,090 for this particular portfolio in here compared to all the other ones we had so far is pretty damn good. Now, I told you also that there's another EA that we are working with, and this particular video covers bit of that, exactly which ones are the ones, currency pairs, that are working well, which ones are not. This particular video shows you everything coming from both the trade wins, and also, even though that some of the trade wins are not 100%, we have a few of those in that video in here. Other ones where the trade wins are low, profits are still there, profits are still good. So this particular video here cover the simple RSI trader that we have, and that particular one is actually also US compliant. So that means it has a take profit, it has a stop loss, it doesn't use any grids, and basically it only does one trade at a time. We trade them on $300 accounts. So these are very, very easy to get set up. We already have some of them on the copy link service. Now, in the meantime, let's go to the Lucky Trader, because that also normally does quite well. And the numbers are not as disastrous as some of the other ones we've seen, with the Euro USD at $91 or 9.1%. But as soon as we get to the low one of the top 5 EAs, Aussie Swiss francs, only coming in at $44, 4.4%. And overall, this particular portfolio for the month of August, $353, 7.1%, is definitely not where we want to be with the Lucky Trader. Also here, floating profit or loss is actually down. It's starting to recover, especially also here after the month of April. So that is good news. Monthly returns still on the $10,000 accounts is 1%. Otherwise on $1,000 is 10%. And trade wins are 69%. So also here quite good. Trades per day, a bit lower than the simple grid trader, so 13.8, and then a history of now more than 300 days makes this still a very strong EA, but not when you get results in like this. This is the lowest that we had for the Lucky Trader, also 567 versus 634, and you can see back in June we had a lot better results. So again, very, very disappointing results for the month of August. Now I have some uplifting news, because this particular one in here, so that particular graph, yes, it's not very smooth because this is not a grid trader. This is a simple RSI trader. This is the portfolio that we have been working on, trying to get to work actually. So we don't have too much experience with this, but we are starting to basically like some of the numbers that we are getting out. So we have 20 accounts, again with a lot of different currency pairs, and we have a balance that started off then with 6,000, is now at 6,700. And the good part in here, look at the floating profit or loss, we are actually in plus, and close profits is very nice with plenty of free margins. So, and with only one trade at a time, you're not going to end up overnight here all of a sudden if you have set up your grid in the wrong way and blowing off your accounts. So you have time to make the adjustments. We can see that we ended up with a few losses all of a sudden, and that was a very special week where the RSI didn't really work very well. Everything got stopped out, but that's why we have the stop loss in here. Since then, it has been stopping out on the take profit. As you can see, it's going quite well. And total returns is now 17%. Monthly returns is 4.7 with a weekly return of 1.1. And you might say, okay, that is quite low. But we have actually just trying to focus first of all on getting it into either a high win rate or high profitability, even though the win rate has been a bit lower. So, and that now seems to be working quite well. We are using lot sizing of 0.05 for every single one, and most probably we can go, now that we are getting some of the signals a bit more stable, we can most probably double that, and that means that also we'll get a monthly return on average, so around the 9 or 10%, and I believe that is a reasonable one. Don't forget also that all the other EAs are down, so at the moment having 4.7, and if we double that, that might even go even higher to 12 or 15. So when the Forex market is actually coming back, we have already taken more than 3,000 pips. Trades per day, as you can see, there's not many trades because we want to have a high win rate instead to make sure we cash in every time. So that's trades per day, about 3.4. We have a history of 101 days. So there's plenty of data here. And this is what it looks like when we started off testing it back in May. We ended up with $92. June was very good, 267. July, as we said, especially 1 week, pretty much made the whole difference here. So we took in a bit of a loss, and obviously on Grid Trader, you normally don't take a loss until you blow your accounts. But look at the month of August, we made a lot of adjustments several times during that particular month in here. And now the portfolio is up 425. There is a whole bunch of new ranges that we have actually put forward, new signals for the copy link service, which we're also going to cover in here today. But we haven't heard back from Alex or Expert Forex about adding those to the list mix of it. And at the same time, as we went in here also this morning to have a look at the linking service itself, well, it showed that the website is currently down, so we can't get in and get the latest analysis. So what you see on your screen here was latest updated 23rd of August. Normally it gets updated every single week. We obviously take those numbers, we then adjust them for the floating profit of loss. We don't want to see any more than 300. Return on total drawdown, we always want to have at least 100, but it's not the greatest number. You can actually leave that one out. That will give you a lot more signals, and they will still be very healthy, as long as you also make sure that the total negative weeks in the last 8 weeks is not more than 300. Then you should have some very good signals, and then you can make an adjustment from high to low in here as we did. And you can see that this particular signal of ours again, so the 1K 173C was on top. But don't forget, what we are showing you normally is on balance. On this particular chart, it is equity. So there is a difference from time to time when some of them have gone into a drawdown and then comes back and cashing in. Then that particular number in here will be a lot higher than you will normally see our 8 or 10% that we make every single month. So, and if you are now interested in more of the EAs that we have, well, this video here we did a couple of weeks ago, EA Showdown. There is actually 4 different EAs. We are having a look at the numbers from January and the end of June, so 6 months. And you can then see which EAs are normally the ones that are performing the best, and either go and have a closer look if you want to buy them from Expert Forex, or if you want to try and link up some of the signals, then they are in the video also in here. So you can start your copy trading career and then hopefully get a bit of profits before Christmas. So this is what we had in this week's news report. As you can see, profits are not really very good on our EAs, pretty much all the way over, apart from the simple RSI Trader in here. That seems to be going quite well. We have done a lot of adjustments over time, and hopefully we'll see the rest of the EAs actually picking up the profit also again. As you'll notice already, we are not really having any losses, but we're in it here to win it. We're in to basically make a decent profit. What we are normally used to is getting somewhere around the 8 or 12%. It has been very difficult in the last couple of months. So the only thing we can do here is sit and wait. Be careful not to turn up your EAs too much with increasing lot size, because all of a sudden the Forex market will actually be back and you could end up with a heavy drawdown. So be wary, be careful. And at the same time, I'm also going to notify you already now, I will be traveling in the next couple of weeks, so there will be no news report for the next week, and which is also why I wanted to send out the monthly report as soon as possible. And then from there on, obviously, I'm going to see you on one of my next videos. Until then, bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed our news report. So please don't forget to like and add your comment below, as we would love to get your feedback. But before you go, make sure you subscribe to the channel and don't forget to keep the notification bell turned on. That way, you will never miss any of our future videos. We hope to see you back on this channel very soon.